Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Miles Beyond the Page. I'm your host, Michelle Miles, and this is the show where we dive deep into the world of writing and publishing. Each week, I sit down with authors from every stage of their journey. We'll explore their creative process, uncover tips and insights, and celebrate the highs and lows of the writing life. So grab your beverage of choice, settle in, and join me as we go miles beyond the page. Today, I'm really thrilled to host my friend, Kathy L. Wheeler. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great.
Long time no see.
I know. We just saw each other at RWA last week. So,
Yeah.
Kathy L. Wheeler loves reading, writing, the NFL, the NBA, musical theater, travel, and karaoke. Her
True.
contemporary and historical romances showcase heroines who save themselves and their heroes who honor their courage in stories filled with dark elements and light humor. She currently resides in the beautiful Pacific Northwest with her musically talented lawyer husband, her adorable neurotic dog, Angel, who lives up to her name mostly. Well, I'm really excited to have you here today. We just spent a week together at the RWA conference in Niagara Falls. It was amazing. It was wonderful. I loved it.
Was hot.
What's that?
It was hot for me.
It was
so humid. I was shocked.
It was a little warm up there, but yeah, but we had a great time. So, but today we're going to talk about your series, The Clandestine Sapphire Society. I know book 3 is coming out. By the time this podcast drops, all 3 books will be out. So let's talk about, what is the first book in the series?
So it's kind of it's different from a lot of series. It's a little gothic-y, and it's early Victorian. But it's the first one is set in 1827, and it's this irresponsible Earl whose brother, and it's the brother's story, actually. And there's a creepy duke in it that feeds through the whole series. And her father the heroine's father wants her to set her cap for him. And she's like, no thanks. But her father is a spendthrift gambler himself. So what happens is the hero, the brother of the Earl, his brother gambles and loses his bet, and he signs his older son's life away basically to this creepy duke who has a daughter, and he wants a wife to raise his daughter. She's only like, I don't know, 8 or 9 at the time, maybe 7. And so the Earl's older son is now betrothed to the creepy duke's daughter. And that is actually book 3. So there's another son, a second son, and that's book 2. And they're kids in this first book. And it really sets up the personalities of each of them, I think. So the second and third books are set in 1847. So
nice. So the first book, what's the title of that?
A Silent Accord.
Okay. So, and these are available on Amazon, correct?
Correct. And it's Dragonblade, so they are KUs.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Yes. And so we're both Dragonblade authors too.
Yes, we are. We met in Austin last year.
That's right. Yeah. So the second book is A Daring Pursuit, and what is the name of the third book?
An Earl's Sacrifice.
Okay. So you guys can look for this in KU for this whole series, because all of these books will be out by the time this podcast drops. So that's exciting.
Isn't it? Yesterday, I was on Author Unplugged for my release that comes out tomorrow, which is July 25th, when this airs.
Mhm.
And so that airs Friday. I guess today's Thursday. I don't know what day it is.
I know. All the days blend together
I
after a
know.
while.
I know. I'm still trying to catch up on sleep and
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, it's like when you're at conference, it's like a black hole of the world, you only know what's going on at conference. So when I got home, I'm like trying to figure out what all I missed in the world.
Exactly.
Which wasn't
Exactly.
much.
Oh, I didn't even get home till midnight on
Oh,
Monday night. And I was supposed to get up and go work out Monday morning. And I'm like, okay, that's not happening.
yeah.
I did go yesterday. So yay me.
Yeah. And for anyone who's listening, RWA will be in Albuquerque in July next year, 2026. So we're real excited about that.
Yes, yes.
And that's a little plug for RWA. So let's talk about your writing journey. Let's go all the way back to the beginning and what inspired you to start writing?
So ridiculous. I've worked at Hertz as a computer programmer, and I had just bought a new little Sony Vaio computer, and I loved the keyboard. And I would just wanted to type. It's so silly. But for some reason, I Googled writing prompts, and I came up with this one. It said, "What if Cinderella's slipper fit one of the evil stepsisters?" I'm
Nice.
like, "That's Cinderella. I can write that." So I did. And it was only at 13,000 words. I ended up a few years later meeting with an agent who I think is no longer in the business, but she's like, "Get it to 50,000 words and get it to me." I'm like, "Okay." So I did. She never responded back, which is fine.
Mhm.
I put the series together, the first 3 books. The first one is Cinderella, where the shoe indeed fits one of the evil stepsisters, the batting-eyed sister. It's basically off the Rodgers and Hammerstein 1965 version with Leslie Ann Warren and Ginger Rogers. However, there is a twist. The shoe that this is it fits. Incidentally, that title was The Shoe the Other Foot Fit, and Mary Buckham and Mel Odom, several big writers said, "Get the foot out of the title." So, actually, the title is The Wronged Princess,
Mm.
and so the middle sister, I consider her the middle sister, her eyes bat furiously enough to change the weather. Yeah. So, and
Great.
the second sister, the second book is The Unlikely Heroine. And she is very pragmatic and she's really, if I can say it, she's just, but the sisters do become friends at the end.
Mhm.
And the conflict basically is within Cinderella not wanting them. She wants the prince, but if she's afraid if she tells them, that will undo everything they work toward to become friends. And throughout the series, the evil stepmother is trying to kill her, of course. And then
Mhm.
book 4 is The Price of Scorn. And that's the evil stepmother's story. And I wasn't going to write it. I didn't. But people on the reviews are like, we need to know what happens to the evil stepmother. So I'm writing it. And really, when I went back, the only thing I had to fix was giving the evil stepmother a title so
Mm.
that it worked with everybody, but that was it. It just fell into place, and the reviews on it were just had just gotten laid off, from my job at Hertz, and my husband's an attorney, as we mentioned,
Mhm.
and we're in Oklahoma City, and I had a desk in his office. And we were sitting across from each other, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, listen to this." And somebody said, "I never thought I could actually feel sorry for the evil stepmother. Kathy L. Wheeler did it." So it made him cry. He's like, "You are a good writer." I'm trying not to cry. And that made me almost start crying. It was so sweet. So sweet. My husband is very supportive of my writing. He thinks I'm the best writer in the whole world. So,
That's
so
great, though. That's
I
really
know.
great. It's awesome to have the
Somebody
support. Yeah.
it is. It is. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's that's how I got started.
That's
And it
awesome. I
went
love
from
that.
there.
And so, and my next question was about genre. So not only do you write this sort of fairy tale retelling, but you write historical romance. So how did that come about? Did it find you, or was that a conscious decision of picking that genre?
So it's my favorite thing to read, and frankly, my next series was the Bloomington series, which was a small town contemporary, spicy romance. And I just didn't have a historical book in mind. And,
Mhm.
Regency readers are really picky. So you have to be really careful. And there's kind of a modern twist to my stuff too that kind of bugs people, which is fine. It's my story.
Mhm.
But it does seem to, they do seem to be my best selling books. It's my
Mm.
Rebel Lords of London. I'm working on the one I started before the Dragon Blade contract.
Mhm.
I'm back to it now, which is pretty fun, and it's number 8, so who
Yeah.
knew?
Yeah, nice. I think readers
Yeah,
really like those long series too. Like
yeah,
I guess, and then the question becomes how long is too long? But when
right.
something works, it works, right?
Well, my ideas come usually writing that one book, and then the next idea comes off that series. That's
Hmm.
just it's worked for me, so
Hmm. I love it. So we're going to talk about your writing process. Now, we already talked about your first story you ever wrote. Well, I guess I could back up a little bit. So that first book you ever wrote was the Cinderella, the
series.
wrong, yeah. So what did you learn from that experience of writing that?
Well, first of all, I knew nothing. I didn't even know what POV initials were, and I was afraid to ask in my the first couple of months in my Oklahoma romance chapter. Those people, they have some of the biggest names in
Yeah.
that group, right?
Hmm.
And I was afraid to ask because that's how bad and what I knew nothing. So finally, somebody's like point of view, and I'm like, oh. And then, of course, you have to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
And so I just knew nothing.
But you learned.
Yes. And I'm actually quite good at it. And I actually do workshops now, not just on GMC,
Mhm.
but on the emotional wound. And you just have a grid of 9 boxes. So you have
Mhm.
your wound, your fear, the lie that the character tells himself to reinforce that fear that leads back to the wound. Then you have your external goal, motivation, conflict, and your internal motivation, goal, conflict, and how it all ties together. And
Yeah.
it's really compelling. And I learned a lot from obviously Deb Dixon and your emotional wound thesaurus, but somebody else who was fantastic is Erin Novotny. So, and yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen any of her classes
now
or
that
anything.
it came through, she did. I was a mentor in the pen to paper for
Mhm.
RWA for 2 years. And I saw one of her workshops in that, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." It was
Yeah.
fantastic. Mm,
Nice. So let's talk, and very briefly, I just want to talk about RWA and that if you are looking for help, if you're an unpublished author looking for help, do you think that RWA, Romance Writers of America, is probably the best organization to join to learn and get tips and learn how to write?
I I definitely do. And it's just you you even if you aren't a romance writer,
Yeah.
they are so much better than any other kind of group in digging deep for the teaching you how to connect a reader to the emotional impact because that's what romance readers want. They want to feel that connection to the characters.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's great about this organization too is that you don't have to already be published to join. And that's how I found them back in 2004. And I don't think that I would be where I am today without
Yeah,
them and the
same,
local chapters. So
definitely.
yeah. So there's a little plug for RWA. All right. So your writing process. What does a typical writing routine look like for you?
It's changed through the years because I don't I write full time now.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting on my couch, so right in my living room with my legs are crossed. I don't think I could sit at a desk with my feet on the floor unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
In public, I have to. But I get up in the mornings, I do my numbers, to see where I'm at the day before. I have 2 spreadsheets I fill out. I do my breakfast, a small breakfast. Sometimes I go work out like 3 mornings a week. So then I leave, come home, then I sit right down and dive in, and this is it right here with my computer on my lap, the TV on low. I like a little noise, but
Mhm.
because I like to sing, I can't do music because then I start singing. Oh, I could
Yeah.
learn that. Ooh, I could do that. Yeah. Yeah.
So are you
So
a
it's
plot? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, 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 it's okay.
Are you a plotter or a pantser?
I'm a little of both.
Mm,
Used to, it was writing the first 3,500 words and then kind of figuring out what I needed to do.
yeah.
So,
I think that I've talked to a lot of writers, and there's a lot of us who are kind of the little of both. We like
yeah.
to write to plot, but we also like to just kind of wing it. I love winging it. I just find so many little interesting breadcrumbs through the
It is
writing.
fun. It's like if you write yourself in a corner,
Yeah.
that I had an editor, it was the last one, Captivated by His Countess, which is the last book right now that's published in the
Mhm.
Rebel Lords. And I had started it where there's a forced marriage that was shown in the previous book. And so she's married. It didn't go well. The consummation of the marriage didn't go well. He was drunk. He was irritated. He's kind of a spy.
Yeah.
But when the editor I had it where he was meeting her at the theater with some of her sisters, and they're all married.
Mhm.
And she's like, he didn't, he's late. But when he shows up, he sees her coming back from the stage area, like coming up from a hallway. And he's like, okay, what's this about? Well, when she read that book, she liked it, but she's like, I think we're going to have a little bit more backstory. I ended up adding like 18,000 words.
Oh my gosh.
So it turned out to be a part 1 and part 2
Yeah.
that really introduced where the heroine from the previous book, she's
Mm.
her brother's wife, and, I don't even know how to get into family dynamics, but anyway, they went to school together. And so they just had these aspirations of helping women who were pushed into a life that they wouldn't have chosen
Mhm.
of their own, if they're an actress, if they're a prostitute, if they're, whatever. And they haven't been treated very nicely by society.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
so
we'll just have
that's,
to
yeah,
we'll have to read the book.
yeah, right.
So, do you have trouble with, when something gets hard, the book, when you're writing and it gets hard, do you find it's difficult to stay motivated, or how do you dig deeper and keep going?
Well, I have to say I'm struggling right now because there's been so much going on this summer that if you don't do it pretty consistently, then it kind of gets away from you.
Yeah.
And we went to Niagara Falls. There's
Yeah.
that. I had a book event in June that went really well. I was really excited about it. So I'm struggling to get back on track, even though the book I'm working on is fun. It's just, where was I?
Yeah.
Or, that kind of
Mhm.
thing. So typically it's not, I I'm of the school that you just keep going even if it's crap, because you can fix crap.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of feel the same way though. I'm trying to get back into the book that I'm writing right now, and I'm like, I don't remember what happened. I have to go
And
back
you
and
have to go
reread.
back and yeah, yeah.
Where was I headed with that? This is when you don't
Uh-huh.
plot. This is me. I'm talking about me. When I don't plot, I'm like, I don't know what I was planning.
Exactly, so you kinda have to be sure to make notes to yourself
Yeah.
on that, and I kinda do that, but still, I'm like, "What color were her eyes?" And then I'm thinking, because they're English, blue, right?
Yeah.
So, I did a search just like yesterday or the day before, blue, no, nothing's coming up. Then I'm saying eyes, and, I mean, finally, it's come to find out they're moss. Not an easy color to remember,
No, that's
but
when it's more.
you have to remember that this book I had started and did all that part over a year ago. It's been like a year and a half
Mhm.
when I started it because this other 3 books I had to write.
Yeah, and that happened to me too. So I was in the middle of writing this fairy tale series. And then I got the offer for Dragon Blade for the 3-book contract. I'm like, well, everything stops because I've got to write those 3 books now.
Yeah,
And
it's
and it was great though. I loved it. I love writing those books. But then I had to get back to where I left off from whatever book I left off from. And I'm like, I don't remember where I was.
that's right. That's right. I read my own thing. I think I forget how many words. I think I was 25 to 30,000 words in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now I'm 46. So that's
Nice.
progress.
It is good to make progress.
It is.
So, what are some tools and techniques you like to use to overcome writer's block or, being stuck or any of that stuff?
Well, you have to brainstorm, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you like, I know a lot of people use Scrivener. Do you use that at all? No, me
I use
neither.
it for like the corkboard stuff. I'm
Mhm.
really good at software. I actually am very good at Word. I format for other authors.
Nice.
And using Word, you have more control. I
Yeah.
don't use a Mac. I use a PC and
Mhm.
I don't use Vellum or Atticus. I just know how to do it
Yeah.
and it gives me more control. So
I've been writing in Word since it was Word. So yeah, I think I'm pretty good at it, but I do like to use the formatting programs for the beautiful pages in Atticus. But yeah, I know that's a great tool to have if you're looking to make your ebooks. But I think you can do that in Word too if you really know how to do it.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I write a Gaming Hill Christmas series with Amanda McCabe, and I do all the formatting and I create the page with your little holly on it
Yeah.
and
The
as
scene breaks. Yeah.
dividers. Yeah, yeah.
Nice. I love doing that stuff. It makes my
It's fun.
creative. Yeah, it makes the other creative part of my brain really, really happy.
Yes, yes.
All right, so publishing insights. Let's talk about that next. I know you're a hybrid author. I know you have books with Dragon Blade, but can you share a little bit about your journey to publication?
Okay, so as I mentioned before, I belong to the Oklahoma Romance Writers. I joined RWA in 2007.
Hmm.
Well, in like 2000, I think it must have been 2011. I had just finished the Cinderella series. RWA was in Orlando that year or
Yeah.
10. I think it was
And
2010 because I
mhm.
was president of my chapter. And when I got back, I mean, I was really worried about not being able to write because I worked full time.
Mhm.
Well, I made a pact with myself, 300 words a day. It didn't matter if it was a blog, if it was an email, if it was writing related, it counted. But honestly, I got like 5 books written that year because you
Wow.
don't typically stop at 300 words, right?
Yeah. Right.
But it was just my goal. And so I had just finished, I think, the 3rd Cinderella story, or that it was The Surprising Adventures. I'd finished that one. And the girls in the group were talking about this Scrimshaw doll thing. And I thought I wasn't going to do it. It's, writing with other people and that kind of thing. But then I had finished that stuff, so I had nothing new. And they had the initial premise of the Scrimshaw doll was something that was made from whalebone and it was cursed.
Mhm.
And it, except for the person who held the doll, it protected that heroine. So I'm like, okay, well, I just thought about it and I wrote a little contemporary called Nose Job. They didn't like the title. It was through Wild Rose Press because she's an editor with them. And they were going to give us an opportunity to be published. And if you kept it, under 20,000 words, you're still considered unpublished. So I wrote this little story of this cursed doll, and it was very fun, very odd. They didn't like the title. They thought, I guess, putting foot in the other shoe, and the Cinderella one was out, so they didn't want Nose Job. And if you look up Nose Job, all it is, on Amazon, everything. But it's so funny. So when I got my rights back, I changed the title back to Nose Job, and it's
Yeah.
cute. I give it away as a freebie a lot of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I ended up getting published that summer. But
Mhm.
not only that, I ended up writing a couple of articles for the Oklahoma Gazette,
Mhm.
and beach reads. And so that was kind of fun. And all that happened within a couple of months. And so then I guess I decided at that point to go wide. I
Yeah.
mean, self-publish. But
Uh-huh.
Wild Rose Press did take another book I did. I did I did another book off the Cinderella story with the doll that doesn't really have much to do with it except she was a character in the 3rd book.
Mhm.
And so that was fun too, and they published that book.
Yeah. Nice. So after you got your rise back, so now do you have series that you just self-published yourself that didn't go through a publisher?
Yes.
Or yeah. Yeah.
Rebel Works of London, Bloomington. It did get picked up with this one publishing company, but it was kind of a disaster, and it I ended up getting my rights back before they even published the 2nd book,
Yeah.
and it was pretty bad experience. Then I went to a Denver romance conference. It was
Mm.
RomCon,
Mhm.
CON, and it was a really interesting. I met somebody there that I'd met back in Orlando in 2010, and she remembered me, and I couldn't remember her name, but I loved her. And she was from the Pacific Northwest. She's no longer up here, and I don't think she's writing anymore, but she and another lady had started their own publishing company. And she goes, "You ought to send us this." I had The Earl's Heir was
Mm.
written, the only
Mhm.
one of the Rebel Lords that was written. And I'm like, well, I don't know. It was kind of, I haven't really had a good experience with that.
Mhm.
I said, we'll see. You may not even like it. So I sent it to her and she loved it. And so when COVID, and that was back, I forget what year, I can't remember what year, I'd say 2015,
Mhm.
maybe 16. And then during COVID, the lockdown, I wrote 8 books, which
Wow.
goes to show you, you know, I wrote 8 books and I still have one on my back burner that's edited. It's a contemporary, going to be a 4-book series, but I'm sitting on it until I can get the other 3 books because that's the key, right?
Yeah. Right.
Doing
Right.
releasing them, right? But I ended up, I mean, I went to town.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So she loved it. I still get royalties from that. It's,
Mhm.
it's the in that book. So
So what do you think were some of the biggest surprises or challenges you faced in publishing, either indie publishing or trying to find a publisher?
well, I kind of quit early on. I quit trying to find one. Dragon Blade reached out to me,
Mhm.
and I had just finished the cat. I think I had just finished A Christmas Story or something, so I hadn't started up on anything new at that time,
Yeah.
or I was just getting ready to start this Bedeviled story, and I won a contest that I didn't even know I was entered through. You know, I in in Lighthaven Books, she does reviews, but you can get in some of their promotions. Plus, I submitted that book to be reviewed by
Mhm.
her. She gave me a 7.5 out of 5. So she apparently loved it.
Yeah.
And it was entered to a contest I didn't know. And then I had had breast cancer, just had surgery. And this was like within this week. The surgery was December 7th. And I think she said December that week.
Mhm.
Congratulations, Kathy. You finaled in this contest. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't really understand. I didn't enter a contest. She goes, oh, no, people who submitted books are automatically in one, and we pick a winner out of each category every year. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, she sent you a little graphic with the star that's a finalist and another image. And she said the winners will be, it must have been like the 15th. And she said the winners will be announced on the 21st, which was a week later. And so then on the 21st, I get a note back saying, congratulations, Kathy, you won. And I'm like, the graphic is exactly the same. So I was like, I'm sorry, I don't understand. And and she's like, yes, you won this contest. Best Regency romance of the year. And then the important thing to know about this is there were 150 entries in this category. So congratulations. So I'm posting all this on Facebook going, this is a really nice note, all this stuff. And I think that Catherine saw that, contacted me on Facebook Message with the note this long.
Yeah.
And she went and looked at my website. She had to have, because she
I'm
said,
sure.
would you consider putting on your historical hat to write for us, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't really have an idea. And I told her, kind of what was going on. She goes, we'll work with you. Don't worry. And she goes, I don't know if you've heard of us, which I had.
Yeah.
And she actually spoke at the Regency Fiction Writers Conference like the year before. And she
Mhm.
said they like 4 books a year. And I'm like, that is just a lot. Plus, I had
Yeah.
all the other stuff. And she goes, oh, no, we'll work with you. But they did require 3 books.
Mm.
And I had an idea for 2. And then when she said 3, that's when that other kid came to me for the 3-book series. So,
Yeah, they do like trilogies for
yeah.
sure, because that was my experience with her as well. But I was really, I think it's a good day when the publisher comes calling.
I know. It was shocking. And
Yeah.
I really thought long and hard about it. And I really did decide to go with them because I felt like even being in KU, they are really good at covers. They are
Are.
really, yes,
Yes.
they
Yeah.
are.
They are,
Yeah, they
yes.
amazing covers. But also the wide reach, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they put out so many books. It couldn't hurt, right? But I have never worked under, because I've been mostly self-published.
Yeah.
It was a little bit disconcerting because I made my, because you pick that date that you think you can finish, right?
Yeah.
And boy, I was ambitious.
Yeah, I was too. I was like, I typically can write a book in 3 months. She's like, all right, here's your deadline. I'm like, oh crap.
Right. In mine, for book 2, the Daring Pursuit, I'm writing on Christmas Day,
Yeah.
because in my edits she sent the edits back, and I'm like, "I'll try and get them back," but it was a lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But so I was writing on Christmas Day, and even so that was
Yeah. But
she
it's
was a
been
little late getting them to me as well, the editor getting them back. But, oh my gosh, it was so
yeah, and it's been a good experience though. I'm really excited to get these books out too. And you're right, the cover art, that was the first thing I went and looked at. I'm like, well, I'm gonna go look at their covers.
yeah,
And
yeah.
they are incredible. They're beautiful. Their cover artists, they nail it every single time.
They
So
really do. They really
yeah.
do. Yeah,
And they have really good social media presence too. So
exactly. That
yeah.
I did have a little glitch with my first editor, and that second editor's been fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, and mine is really good too. I really enjoyed working with her and I'm looking forward to working
But
with
I
her on the
went and
next.
checked out all the editors because that was my deal with that one company. And
Yeah.
so when I talk about this and I'm thinking, crap, it must be me. And it could be, right? Maybe I'm difficult to work with.
I don't think that's true. All right. So marketing is always the bane of every writer's existence, especially if you're indie published. But what strategies have you found to be most effective for reaching new readers?
Okay. So one of the best things that a hybrid or a self-published author can do is attend Sky Warren's author mastermind romance
Yeah, I've heard of it.
romance author. Okay, so that's fantastic. But before I did that, and like I said, during COVID, I wrote 8 books, and
Yeah.
most of it was finishing up the Rebel Lord Splendent.
Mhm.
So one lady who she was a speaker at the East Side chapter up here in Washington, and I said, "I know this is the one. I know this is it." You know, and The Earl's Heir was written, and I was writing book 2, which was The Marquis's Misstep. And I had started a little years ago, I started a little book called The Seventh Son, which is a contemporary off of a curse in that second book. So it's a contemporary in the middle of this set.
Mhm.
And I loved it because she's an art critic and he's an artist. And there's
Nice.
a curse on him that is set at the end of in his family.
Uh-huh.
So that was really fun. But okay. So that year, when she told me that, I wrote a really fast prequel, really fast. So fast that even after I initially did it later, I went back and fixed it, made it a little bit longer, not much longer because it's a prequel. And so I did that to make it free. That was Sky's thing. The first book's free. So I did a
Right.
small prequel free. And then you just take it was Facebook ads and
Yeah.
how and basically it's testing and I still do that. I did have a I and I wasn't even finished with all these books, but I set deadlines for each one up through the Viscount's Vendetta, which was after that little contemporary.
Mhm.
It was only gonna be a 3-book series, and now all of a sudden I have 2 more books, right? The prequel and then that Seventh Son,
Mhm.
contemporary. But then while I'm writing Viscount's Vendetta, I have an idea for the Duke's Detour, which of course didn't fall in line with every month because I just got the idea. So that one came out in January. Well, here was when the Viscount's Vendetta came out, and I'm doing the Facebook ads, right?
Mhm.
I swear to God, this is the truth. But all of a sudden in July, I had 5 books in the paid top 100 Kindle.
That's
5.
awesome.
And I didn't even have 5 books in that series. This was the Cinderella series all of a sudden was selling,
Yeah.
and all of them. And the pre-orders were going crazy. It went
Yeah.
well. It went well.
Yeah.
Then go to January, I got a book bub for The Viscount's Vendetta, I think.
Mhm.
And The Duke's Detour came out on the 3rd. And so I think the book bub might have been the 3rd, but so I had set the release date on the 4th.
Mhm.
Oh my God. That's what you do.
Yeah.
That's you sitting on this little book until I can write the other 3 contemporaries to go with it, because it sailed for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, it's a really good strategy to have too. Yeah, if you can do it, if you can write all the books and then release them back to back like that, it works. I've
It
done
does
it.
work.
It does work.
And it keeps your name out there,
It
right?
does. Yeah,
Uh,
it for sure does. So we're getting close to running out of time,
Sorry.
which no, it's great. I'm having a great. I always love doing these because I always find some great information from someone else, and we always have a good time chatting. But so I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
The first one is, what advice would you give to an aspiring author?
Sit your in the chair. Sit, period. Your period. Period. In period. The period. Chair, period. Exclamation point, exclamation point. You can't, it's something that you're not going to learn it if you don't do it. The
Right.
first things might not be great, but you're not going to learn if you don't do it.
Exactly. That's the
So,
great advice. Yeah, getting your hands on the keyboard and just doing
nobody
it.
can learn this for you.
Right. That's yes, exactly. And then tell us where we can find you and your work online.
Okay, so since I'm with Dragonblade, most everything right now is in KU. However, I will probably be taking most everything out and going wide again because of meeting with Tara Crimmon with Kobo. Because, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really realize last time how it's not an immediate thing that you can see on Kobo until after the fact, and you start getting those royalties in, that they really are growing and it's worldwide,
Yeah.
and you don't have to be exclusive. So
Yeah.
right now everything is in KU. There's some things that are wide.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
so
social media, can we find you on the social?
everything is Kathy L. Wheeler. Don't
All
forget
right.
the L.
That makes it easy.
That's
And all of these links and everything, your bio and everything will be in the show notes for people to check you out and check out your books and find you online and connect with you and hopefully buy your books.
hopefully so. But thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This
Oh,
was
yes,
wonderful.
I loved it. I loved having you. A big thanks to Kathy L. Wheeler for joining us and sharing her incredible journey. Be sure to grab a copy of A Daring Pursuit and the other books in the series. And thank you as always for hanging out with us. If you liked this episode, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell so you never miss a new chat. You can also listen to Miles Beyond the Page on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep writing, and I'll see you miles beyond the page. Thanks for joining me on Miles Beyond the Page. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. If you're an author and want to be a guest, visit michellemiles.net/podcast to apply. Keep writing, keep dreaming, and I'll see you next time.